Welcome to Movie Talk with your host, Calvin Wagner.
Thanks, Ron. Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Movie Talk this week, where we'll be having our special guest, James Juszczyk, talk about his movie of choice. Come on in, James.
How you doing, Calvin?
How are you? Now, James, what movie will you be discussing with us today?
Today I've chosen Power of One.
And what's Power of One about?
So basically, it's about a boy named PK who grows up in South Africa, living through a death of a bunch of his family members, and so has to live with his uncle who goes to jail because he's an Afrikaner during World War II, and there he meets an African who makes him an avid boxer.
So he goes to jail with his uncle.
Well, actually, his uncle was his only family member, so he just visited him periodically while he's in jail.
Ah.
And so he, through boxing, he realizes how everyone should be equal, and so he fights for Africans to become educated under apartheid.
Actually hit me. No, like light.
Yeah, don't actually hit me.
And the white man wins. PK is champion. But they're still friends because of PK not liking apartheid.
I looked at my hand.
So how does PK, is that his name?
Yes.
How does PK try to end apartheid through boxing?
Well, actually, it's boxing and through teaching because he was a very smart student who got accepted to Oxford, and so he actually declines that, and rather he tries to teach Africans who can then teach their children. So it's through education and boxing.
Teaching them how to read and write, is that correct?
Basic learning skills, because at this time Africans had very little school education.
What a
if any.
shame how unequal that part of the world was at
Yes,
that time.
yes,
Yeah.
it still is.
Alright, well thanks for that summarization, James. We'll be right back with the summarization of my movie, 300, and then we'll compare the two.
Is that about counting, or? Alright.
And we're back. Thanks for tuning in again, folks. We just learned a bit about James's movie, Power of One, and now we're going to talk about my movie, 300, a little bit.
All jokes aside, Calvin, what is it about?
Well, my movie is about when the Persians go to conquer Sparta, and obviously the Leonidas, king of Sparta, wants to defend his land against the Persians. So he goes to talk to the oracles, which are the spiritual guides of Sparta, and asks them for permission to fight in the war. However, the oracles say that they cannot fight because it is during Festival Carnea, which is when during the full moon. So Leonidas takes a sort of a small army of 300 men, or what he calls his personal guards. They all have living sons back home, is how he selected them, and they're all the most elite soldiers in Sparta. And he takes them and meets up with his other Greek allies, the Athenians, who have a couple thousand men, and go to fight the hundreds of thousand-man army force of Persia in the pass of Thermopylae. So their strategy is they're going to siphon in the Persians, and the Greek army is going to fight them in the pass where their numbers are irrelevant because only a certain amount of men can fit in the pass. Unfortunately for the Greeks, a traitor named Ephialtes switches of sides and tells the Persians of another entrance into the pass, and then so the Persians infiltrate from behind and slaughter the entire Greek army. Fortunately, all of the Athenians escape, and one of the Spartans goes back to his homeland, and the 199 remaining Spartans fight to the death to save the backs of their retreating soldiers.
Truly heroic.
Truly heroic. So, that's all for my movie, and we'll come back with some comparing and contrasting of the two. Thanks again for watching Movie Talk.
Yes.
We'll be back after the break. Back again, folks, here to talk about our two movies compared to each other. So, James, what was your favorite part of Power of one.
Well, my favorite part was actually how PK had a rival in his boarding school who bullied him, and so that rival turned out to be a police officer late in the movie. And when that police officer was about to kill PK's best friend, PK used his boxing skills to
Demonstration
Wait,
purposes only. Ram is an African. Alright, so now he did something wrong, like he was near a white person, and now we're police.
Oh. Bad African. Bad African.
Convenient.
Yes.
What was about your worst part of the movie?
It wasn't worse as it was sad. So his PK's girlfriend Faye, who's an Afrikaner, was helping him teach the Africans when the police raided their schoolhouse, and she got hit in the head and died. Just right there.
That is terrible.
It was depressing. Yeah.
Wow.
PK's life is just rough.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of your movie?
My favorite part was definitely when the Spartans were slaying the Persians in the first 2 days of the
That was
battle.
Great.
There's such a minority in the fight, so little Spartans, and they killed just thousands of Persians and put a huge dent in their army.
Yeah. And what was your
My
worst
least
part?
favorite part of 300 was when King Leonidas denied Ephialtes, a hunchback, the right to fight in the Spartan army. He denied him this right because he couldn't lift his shield up high enough to protect an average-sized man, which is one of the most important points of the Spartan defense system.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that was historically accurate, was it?
Yeah, Ephialtes actually became a traitor, and he was the reason why the Spartans lost the Battle of Thermopylae.
Wow. Was there anything else that was historically accurate about your movie?
There definitely was. The Greek army actually was comprised of 300 Spartans and quite a few Athenians, and also the Festival of Carnea was historically accurate as well because the oracles would not allow the Spartans to fight during a full moon. James, what was historically accurate about Power of One?
Well, the setting of the movie is really accurate. The homelands of the Africans was poorly made, they had really bad shelters, and they had absolutely no education. Also, the white police officers were prejudiced against blacks, and anything they did at all, they were physically beaten. So,
That's terrible. What about historical inaccuracies?
well, the movie didn't really have that many, but I mean, it was based off a book that was historical fiction, so the plotline was inaccurate.
So PK did not actually exist?
Well, not exactly.
No, alright. Well, my movie had quite a few historical inaccuracies. For example, the Persian army had many green blob ogre monsters
Monsters.
with saws for hands. Like,
Saws, like
what is
chainsaws.
this? Not
It's-
even.
They didn't
not
have
even real.
chainsaws
No,
back then.
fake. They had like 300-foot tall elephants carrying walruses on them.
I
It
mean,
was crazy.
it was so dumb.
So dumb.
Anyway.
Also, Ephialtes was not a hunchbacked, half-minded fool. He was actually a politically respected soldier in the Spartan army, and for reasons that can only be assumed for his personal safety and possibly temptation of riches, he was a traitor and converted to the Persian army. Later found out by the Spartans and had a huge bounty on his head and was killed sometime later.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Alright.
So Calvin, I heard you found out about a first-hand account of the Spartan War.
Actually, yes, there was a first-hand account of the Battle of Thermopylae. One of the soldiers in the Spartan army named Herodotus actually kept a journal during battle. So he has certain quotes that were both in his journal and in the movie, such as when the wife of King Leonidas, or the Queen of Sparta, said, "Come back with your shield or on it." A traditional Spartan quote basically saying, either win the battle and come back with your shield, or die and be carried home on it.
That's deep. But
Right, now let's pause for when we act out this scene.
all right, we're acting it out.
James is now dead and has to come back on his shield to Sparta. Rob, take the camera. I am his fellow Spartan soldier and will carry him back. This is Sparta. James returned on his shield.
Were there any other accounts?
Another famous quote, actually, in the Journal of Herodotus was when one of the Persian soldiers said that their arrows are so numerous that they blot out the sun, and in retaliation, one of the Spartan soldiers said, "So then we'll fight in the shade," meaning that
They'll fight in the shade, yes. Clever. Alright, thank you.
And we're going to act it out and show you what it means. Our arrows are so numerous that they blot out the sun. So the Spartans will fight in the shade. Now it's time for our viewer recommendations. So, James, who would you recommend Power of One to?
Anyone who really loves an inspirational movie. It's about a character who comes from the worst of things and just makes the best of them. What do you think? Who would like your movie?
Smooth, James. I think people would like my movie, similar to James's, people who would take the underdog, the 300 Spartans facing a hundreds of thousands of men army from Persia. Now that's crazy. And we actually did it. We did it, folks. That's all, folks.
And thanks for watching Movie Talk.
See you next time on
Movie Talk.
Somebody in this class better get this joke.
Chinese.
This is gonna be a terrible joke.
Calvin, who do you think would like your...
Stop. Now it's time for some...
Oh, man.
I'm not wearing any shorts. Cut.
Shout out to Rom.
The color of coffee.
Too much?
Too much.
Too much.
Too much?
Too much.
And
Hit him again. Hit him again.
Rom,
Seriously.
I gotta pee. Leave. You're gonna make me happy when I don't see you again.
Alright.
So,
You're not that bad.
Anthony.
I'm not wearing any shorts.
Beating up the blacks.
Ah, that's my line.
James is a dead Spartan, and he is coming back on his shield because he is dead. Okay.
So, how's it like being head to head with an arrow?
I prefer the term
Blacks?
people that like violence.
Blood and guts, man. That was totally racist. That is great.
Miss French, it was great.
You're almost as good as teaching as your name relates to a language. I think Miss French would get that.
You're almost as good as teaching as I am as my grade is in your class. No,
You screwed up too, man.
And now it's time for our viewer recommendations. James, who's your...
Alright, skip the James.
That was your one chance, Ron?
No. Let me have another chance.
I recommend this movie to anyone.
Kiku.
Am I not entertaining you?
Not really. Alright.
Can we please redo it? Where'd that come from? You said it like 4
That's
times.
what she said. Chad Williams, you...
That's a buzzkill?
Chad Williams, you...
Oh yeah, that one.
You just ruined it. We can...
Calvin, if you'd said that the first time, we wouldn't have to retake this. You kept
Like Chinese.
Chinese.
Japanese.
Chinese? Chinese?
Chinese people. Chinese people. Chinese. Are we actually gonna put this in?
We might find the credits if Miss French isn't, if she's cool with it.
Yeah, last day of school, man. Might as well.
Yeah, go
I
big
don't
or
want
go
that.
home.
That's
Go
true.
big or
Penis.